All right, let's talk about melatonin. It's sitting in millions of bedside tables, and we all see it as this simple, totally harmless ticket to dreamland. But what if I told you that for a lot of people, this super popular supplement is a complete mystery and it's hiding some pretty serious risks?
Because here's the thing. The way most of us think about melatonin isn't just a little bit off. It can be dangerously wrong. That little pill you're taking? Yeah, it might be doing a whole lot more than just helping you drift off.
So, here's the game plan. We're going to start by totally busting the big melatonin myth. Then we'll get into what it really is. After that, we'll break down the long-term risks at every level, low, medium, and high doses. And we'll wrap it all up with a super clear guide on how to use it the smart way.
Okay, let's dive right into the biggest myth of all, this idea that melatonin is just a supplement. I mean, in a lot of countries, you can just grab it off the shelf like it's a bottle of vitamin C, right? And that creates this massive, false sense of security. Treating it that casually, that's her first big mistake.
To really get this, you have to completely change how you think about melatonin. It is not a sleeping pill. It's not like Ambien. It doesn't just knock you out. It's something else entirely. It's a signal. And here's the absolute most important part. Melatonin is a hormone. Your brain makes it naturally when the sun goes down, and its job is to tell every single cell in your body that night has officially arrived. So think of it less like a sleeping pill and more like the conductor of your body's entire internal orchestra.
And this is the key distinction you have to understand. The hormone your own brain produces is perfectly tuned for your body. The supplement you buy at the store is a synthetic, lab-made copy. Now, the goal is for it to mimic that natural signal, but when we get the dosage wrong, we risk sending that signal into complete overdrive.
So that brings us to the low dose range, anywhere from 0.5 milligram up to 3. This is what most people are reaching for when they're dealing with jet lag or just a restless night. And look, it seems totally harmless, and for a short period, it generally is. But what happens when you take it for months or even years? This analogy just says it all, doesn't it? Your body is incredibly smart. If you keep sending it the exact same signal night after night after night, eventually, it just starts to listen a little less.
And listen, this is not just a theory. It's backed by solid research. One study found that after a full year of taking it every night, some people needed to pop 5 milligrams just to get the same feeling they used to get from 1 or 2. It's this slow, creeping tolerance that can really sneak up on you.
All right, now we're moving into the medium dose territory, which people often use for more chronic, long-term sleep issues. And this is where the risks start to get a lot more real, because now we're sending a signal that's way, way stronger than what our body would ever produce on its own. So what does this number mean? Well, it's the average drop in testosterone levels that was seen in some men who were taking medium dose melatonin over the long term. Now, it might not be enough to cause huge problems for everybody, but it's a real, statistically significant hormonal shift that you've got to pay attention to. A huge review back in 2021 really highlighted these hormonal effects. For men, it was that dip in testosterone. For some women, there were reports of irregular periods. And it all makes perfect sense when you remember what we said earlier. Melatonin is a hormone, so of course it's going to interact with your entire endocrine system.
And it's not just about hormones. A pretty big chunk of people using these medium doses report other problems. We're talking about 10 to 15% feeling tired or down during the day, while others get mild stomach issues. These aren't just some rare one-off exceptions. They happen often enough to be a real concern.
And that brings us to the high dose, anything over 10 milligrams. This is the heavy hitter. And using this kind of dose long-term, it's like using a sledgehammer to tap in a tiny nail. The collateral damage can be pretty significant. This number is just stark, 20%. That's 1 in every 5 people using high-dose melatonin long-term who report having significant gut issues. We're talking diarrhea, nausea, bloating, 1 in 5. The list of potential side effects at this level gets pretty serious. Beyond those stomach problems, studies show about 15% of users wake up with headaches. And what's even more concerning is that some research points to signs of mild liver stress in a small percentage of users. Your mood can take a hit too, with some people reporting more anxiety or feeling low. But honestly, here's the most dangerous part, the vicious cycle. High doses not only build up your tolerance super fast, but they can actually signal your brain to stop making its own melatonin. You end up becoming dependent on the supplement, which makes it even harder to ever sleep naturally again. So let's just recap how these risks climb. At a low dose, your main worry is building up a tolerance. In that medium range, you start to see those hormonal shifts and stomach problems pop up. And at a high dose, you're looking at a whole spectrum of potential issues, from serious GI distress and liver stress to major mood changes and a fast track to dependency. Okay. After hearing all that, you might be thinking you should just toss your melatonin straight in the trash. But that's not the goal here. The goal is to be smart about it. So let's talk about the right way to actually use it. Here it is, 4 clear, simple steps. Number 1, talk to a doctor, especially if you plan on using it long term. Number 2, always start with the lowest possible dose that actually works for you. 3, listen to your body. Are you feeling groggy the next day? Do you find yourself needing more to get the same effect? And finally, high doses are for short-term crisis situations only and always with a doctor's guidance. So the big takeaway here really isn't that melatonin is the enemy. The real problem is using a powerful tool without understanding how it works. When you use it correctly for things like jet lag or a short-term sleep cycle reset, it can be incredibly effective. This quote just sums it all up perfectly. Melatonin is a powerful signal to your body's internal clock. It's not some gentle suggestion, it's a hormonal command. And a command like that, well, it deserves to be treated with respect. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know that melatonin is a powerful hormone with escalating risks, not just some simple supplement, how does that change the way you think about reaching for that bottle tonight?